Hello, friends, and welcome back to Ghouls Night In, the spooky chat show with your best ghoul friends. I'm Penny Snark.
And I'm Midge Munster. And Penny, I actually don't know. How do you feel about an awards show?
Oh,
That's
I
something you're
go
into?
I go back and forth. I used to be much more interested in watching them. I've kind of fallen off. I do like to see the outfits.
Well, that we can all agree on, I think. Well, we are quickly approaching another awards season. In
Mhm.
fact, actually, the day we're recording this is the day of the Golden Globe Awards.
Ah.
And the week that y'all are listening to this, we will be getting the official Oscar nomination listings. And I personally don't usually care too
Mhm.
much about these awards, to be frank. I mean, it's all an institution. It's all kind of a
Yeah. There's a
popularity
lot of
thing.
inside baseball.
Right. It's not really something I tend to be like putting a lot of stake in. But something of interest is happening this year, in my opinion. Um, Mostly in the form of the movie The Substance, which y'all
Mm.
know was one of my top movies of 2024, is nominated for 5 Golden Globe Awards.
Ooh.
um, and Hugh Grant is also nominated for Best Actor for Heretic.
Huh.
And then there's been quite a campaign and a buzz around Demi Moore and her performance in The Substance, for the possibility of being nominated for an Oscar. And of
You
course,
can tell my the truth of my level of interest in award shows is I did not know any of this. So
well, and then of course, to piggyback off our last episode, there's
yes.
also a lot of buzz about Miss Nosferatu as well.
Mhm.
So this is interesting and exciting for more reasons than just, hey, I really liked those movies, which I did. But it's showing a possibility that maybe this long-standing pattern of horror not being a recognized category by award
Mhm.
shows may maybe start breaking down. I mean, we'll see. In almost 100 years of the Oscars specifically, only 6 horror films have ever been nominated for an Academy Award.
Damn, any Academy Award?
Yeah. Sorry, no. The Academy Award, the Best Picture.
Okay, the best
They
picture.
get nominated in technical categories a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah,
But as far as the big 5, we don't see hardly ever horror
for
coming
sure.
through. And only one of those has ever taken Best Picture, which more on that later. Penny.
Mhm.
Uh
I wonder what it could be.
whatever. Yeah, listeners, reach back in your trivia knowledge and see if you remember us talking about which film won the Academy Award for Best Picture. Um, but so what's going on? Why does horror get snubbed? And who has been able to break through this barrier in the past? Why does it matter? Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Brief history of award shows, just to start us off, because honestly, part of my thing, even up till like recently, was like, I don't know what half these awards are. I don't know what the difference between a Golden Globe and an
Mhm.
Academy Award is.
Yeah.
um, the first major film award ceremony was the Academy Awards, or the Oscars. That began in 1929. I didn't realize it had been that long. I was thinking it had started in like the 40s,
Well, I go way
but
back.
way back. And of course, organized by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts. It was originally kind of started as a strategy to fend off labor disputes and unionization efforts. Classic. They were like, give them a
Classic.
pizza party.
Right?
Because it was a private dinner event with around 250 attendees. It was very like private and small. um, but then of course over time it evolved into a major public spectacle. Like Penny said, people want to see the outfits, people want to see the grandeur of what's happening and all
Mhm.
these celebrities in one place. And that was how it kind of became this hallmark of Hollywood's annual calendar. Following that, we ended up with the Golden Globes in 1944, and then the BAFTA Awards starting in 1947, each kind of celebrating different aspects. So the Golden Globes also celebrates television. It's like anything on film is
Mhm.
my understanding, and then the Oscars is just movies.
Yes.
um, but we're gonna turn our attention back to horror movies. Obviously, we all here know that like horror has had a long-standing popularity with audiences. There is no question there. Even back in the Universal Monsters days, we were still having people clamoring for horror movies.
Mhm.
But the perception has always been that it lacked artistic depth. It couldn't compete with like a drama or a romance or things that had these high stakes of
Oh,
emotional
yes.
depth and complexity. Um, but there were actually some exceptions even early on. In 1931, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde earned Frederick March the Academy Award for Best Actor,
Mhm.
marking one of the earliest instances of a horror film breaking through that awards rope. But it wasn't until the 60s and 70s that they really solidified their space in the award sphere. Alfred Hitchcock obviously did Psycho in 1960, big movie. That received 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Director, but didn't win any of its categories. But that was a big deal. It was kind of the first time that we saw a horror movie getting that many nominations, and getting that much acclaim, which started off the kind of, oh, maybe there is merit in this type of film. And we've talked about on the pod before, the first horror movie to be nominated for Best Picture was The Exorcist in
Mhm.
1973. And it received 10 nominations in total. Big year for horror.
Yeah.
And it won 2 of the 10. And that was the first time that was like, oh, okay, horror can both be a commercial success in theaters and make us money, and also get attention from
Yeah. You
critics.
claimed.
Hmm. Uh, and we see a little bit more of that in the following years. Jaws was also nominated for several categories, but the big one was The Silence of the Lambs, 1991.
Yeah.
Big box office success, big critical success. This was the third film in history and still the most recent film to date to win the Big Five Oscar categories: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Adapted Screenplay.
Pew, pew, pew.
I literally have a note in my notes, parentheses, let Penny nerd out.
Yes. Oh my god. It truly is. I mean, it's such an amazing film, and it really did break a lot of those barriers of being like, oh, a movie can be this intense horror film and still be incredibly well made, well acted.
The acting,
The
bro.
acting, I mean, obviously Hopkins winning an award for an, because is he still the lowest amount of screen time for a best actor?
I believe so. Yeah.
He it definitely was at one point, may still be true today, but just the idea that like you can have such a limited amount of time on screen but still completely control and pervade a movie.
The
So
Beetlejuice
good.
effect, baby.
The Beetlejuice effect.
Or the Lecter effect, I guess. He no, he 91, he came second,
Well,
right?
yeah, I
Beetlejuice
think
was
so. Because Beetlejuice
89 or
is
90.
80, yeah, 80
Um
something.
but but it was a book first. So it's
Yes, yes.
Lecter effect. But yeah, very very cool to see this big sweep from a horror movie. And again, like well, we'll get more into this, but like challenging that notion that horror is just like slash 'em up gore, fast
Mhm.
jump scare. Like this movie is both legitimately so scary and one of the best acted films I've ever watched.
Yeah.
If for those of you who may not remember, I watched this last year or the year before for the first time because it's like Penny's
Yes.
favorite movie, and I was blown the frick away.
Hell
So good.
yeah.
Um, so the most recent horror film to be nominated for Best Picture was Jordan Peele's Get Out
Oh
in
yeah.
2018. Yes. And it received three other nominations as well: Best Original Screenplay, Best Director for Jordan Peele, and Best Actor for Daniel Kaluuya. Uh, they, I don't believe, won any of these, if I remember correctly. Um, but again, a pretty good sweep of nominations for
Hmm.
a film in that genre. I will say, this is not listed anywhere you look online or any like articles or anything, but I think it's worth noting that what did win Best Picture in 2018, the same year that Get Out was nominated, was The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro,
Oh yeah.
which feels like it should be categorized as horror.
I feel,
But
yeah, we should get at least a little bit of credit for that.
well, that's I'm like it feels like a discredit to the literal like master of gothic horror to not call that a horror win.
Yeah,
But the Academy calls it a fantasy slash romance movie.
I
So
guess.
I'm like, well, she's macking on a monster. So I don't know what to tell you guys. Um, but I do wonder if part of that categorization was because if it had been listed as like a genre film, would it have gotten the same respect?
Yeah, very true.
And I bet I know
Doubt
the
it.
answer.
Yep.
I doubt it. Um, but I mean, as we can kind of see through this, horror has proved that it has a place at award shows for sure. I would actually argue that there are a lot more films on my list, at least, that never got nominations that I think should have been recognized in some
Yeah,
way.
because I literally just Googled it. Hereditary came out in
Hereditary.
2018 also. I'm like,
Yep.
Hereditary didn't get nominated for anything?
Same. I mean, honestly, same with Midsummer. If we're just talking like
Yeah.
impact, yeah, a lot of the like A24 movies, I was shocked were not on there at all. Um, but yeah, Tony Collette, big snub.
Big snub.
Big snub. I love the idea of like who got snubbed this year.
I know,
I
right?
think it's so silly
The
goofy.
drama.
The drama. Who was snubbed? I love seeing an article. Who was snubbed by the Oscars? Um, but yeah, Tony Collette definitely should have been nominated. Uh, so we have all these things that are showing we have the proof. The proof is in the pudding that we have what it takes to get nominated.
Yes.
But then sometimes even when horror gets nominated, it's still sidelined in other ways. Kind of back to what we're talking about with Guillermo with categorization.
Hmm.
So in looking at the Golden Globe nominations for this evening, for example, you will see that The Substance is categorized as a musical slash comedy.
The Golden Globes musical slash comedy category is truly the stupidest thing
Yeah,
in
we're
the
gonna
whole
we're
world.
gonna get into it. Don't you worry. We gonna talk about it. And I will say you could maybe get away with this for The Substance due to
Yeah,
like
like it
some of
is
its
a,
more ridiculous satire
yeah.
moments.
I would say you could say that in the sense of it being a satire, it is comedic in that
There
way.
is some levity. There are upbeat musical workout scenes. But it still would not, in my opinion, fit the criteria based on what the Golden Globes themselves list. So this
Yeah.
is there according to the HFPA's official guidelines for the Golden Globe Awards. And I quote, motion pictures shall be entered in the category that best matches the overall tone and content of the motion picture. Therefore, a motion picture that is primarily intended to have a serious or dramatic tone but contains comedic overtones or elements should still be entered as a drama as opposed to a comedy.
Well, this, I mean, I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but I know this is the whole thing too, where they keep putting the bear in comedy.
Oh, yeah, I
And
don't have that note, but yes,
because that's
absolutely.
TV, it's not a movie, but I know that that is an ongoing angst
Yeah, but
amongst
also, like,
fans
have you
where it's like
ever
you're
watched a more dramatic show than The Bear?
right?
Because I sure
And
haven't.
it does such a disservice to actual comedies
Yes.
to be like
Because there
because
is
it
an art to writing comedy as
there is
well.
because
Yeah.
you are basically saying like but we're still saying that the most dramatic is the winner. I don't know. This goes all the way back. I have I have deep high school forensics trauma about this, Midge.
Oh, I love
Um
this.
because I would compete in like pros, and if I
HIDI.
if
Yeah.
I did a I liked to do comedic selections, and I would never win because it was I would do like a reading from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I not who knows, maybe I just wasn't very good at forensics. I like to think I did okay, but it was always going to be some girl who has like a piece from a
Diary
novel
of Anne
about being
Frank.
a neo-Nazi, and I'm
Diary of Anne
like
Frank every round. Yeah.
exactly. And I'm like, you are saying that even that drama always wins no matter what. This isn't even
Always
relevant to
has.
horror. I'm just cranky.
Well, no, but it actually, I mean, it is relevant to what we're talking about. It's this idea of like drama always has more merit,
Exactly. That
or
that is the only real like seriousness of
or
a
that
film
yeah, or that
or
anything that
production.
doesn't meet a certain criteria for drama is automatically like lesser or a quote comedy because it's not serious.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing with horror is that it's
Mhm.
never taken seriously.
Yeah.
Even when so let's get into the Bear is an excellent point to bring here, but the big debate that started happening around this for genre films, or also like a film like The Substance that kind of transcends genre. There's a lot happening. There's no real. You can't pin her down, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Did you see that yet?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Um,
I liked it.
hey, um, but so 2018, hey, big year, lots happening.
Big year.
But Get Out was nominated for a Golden Globe, and it surely was put in the musical and comedy category.
Whew.
And here's where
Ooh
things
boy.
get really spicy because it's one thing to put a movie like The Substance in there where I mean, yeah, we're dealing with a lot of serious topics. We're dealing with a lot of, things that women deal with, and there is some levity. But when you're looking at a film like Get Out,
Yeah, that
that is
no.
addressing very heavy subject matter in a very intense way with standout performances from Black actors telling a very political story and an important story.
Yeah.
That's where things get like, ooh. And Jordan Peele himself, I have a quote from him here being like, that was blatant miscategorization. His quote is, "We don't want our truth trivialized. The label of comedy is often a trivial thing. The real question is, what are you laughing at?"
Oh, yeah.
Period.
Yep.
I can't think of a single moment in Get Out that I was like, tee hee.
Right? Oh my god.
What an absolute. And then at that point I'm like, I can't take any of these award shows seriously
Yeah.
because to minimize and discredit what that film did regardless of genre is insane to me. So
It's all this is not relevant, but it's also
no, hit
just
me.
wild to have it be musical slash comedy. Like a musical can't be dramatic.
Yeah, and like like
Like
those
oh
two
yeah,
things
my
are
favorite
mutually
comedy, Les
exclusive.
Miserables or whatever. Like a lot of very notable musicals are seriously
So
dramatic.
and like yeah,
Like
if
it's
we're
just goofy. It's just a goofy category. And
yeah, just absolutely wild. Um and I didn't actually have this in my notes, but I'm gonna talk about it now. Mia Goth has been very vocal about this,
yeah,
and I mean, I think it was because she believes she was snubbed for Pearl,
sure,
which
sure.
I will say I loved Pearl. I don't know that I was like, give her the Irene, like I
Yeah.
wasn't, but I get it. And because she is considered a I do think she's talented, and she is considered a genre actor, and she
Mm-hmm.
probably will not ever be taken seriously because the majority of her work has been in the horror sphere, and
Yeah.
she does a great job in her genre. Um, but she's been very, very vocal about like when is it going to change, and if it's not going to change, then what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Similarly, this has nothing to do with the spooky nature of this podcast, but it's something we're both very passionate about. Similar to like gendered acting
Midge,
categories.
the way I I leaned into my microphone as you were like sitting there, and I was gonna be like, "Are we gonna say gendered categories?"
Gendered categories. We've
And
moved past it. We've
yeah,
moved
and I
past
mean,
it.
it's I feel like the thing with gendered categories and the thing with this drama versus musical comedy is the same thing where I see what the goal was, but what you're
Right.
saying is a man is always going to be the best actor and a drama is always going to be the best movie.
Yes.
Like that is what
Exactly.
you're saying. You're saying we need a separate category for things that are not that so you can win something too. And that's just a gross way to approach it.
And I actually read an NPR article that was talking about so movies, like the film distributors get to select what they want to be entered as, like for
Mhm.
a Golden Globe or something, but at the end of the day, they don't get to pick. Like they get to say, I want to be listed as this, but
Mhm.
the final call comes down to the
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 organization. Yeah.
organization. Um, like I just can't imagine being Jordan Peele and submitting that and then
Oh my god,
hearing
right?
back like, yeah, you were nominated, but it's for a comedy.
That's
The
it's
like
just
utter
yeah.
slap in the face. The slap in the face.
Slap in the
Um
face.
and but yeah, so when I was reading this article, they were talking about how like the structure is quote made so that it's horrible. It's basically so movies that wouldn't normally get nominated can get nominated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you know what? Here, great transition. Let's get into it. You'll notice there's a big name missing from the Golden Globes this year. Nosferatu's left completely off the list. Completely. Not a single nom.
Would it be is it not is it from in
Oh,
this year?
it was eligible. Yes,
Oh my
ma'am.
god, that's ridiculous
It
then.
was
I
eligible.
was going into this assuming that it was going to be part of next year's
Nope, she
awards.
was eligible. And
Boo.
I believe this is in large part due to them not wanting to give up a drama category spot to a genre film.
Mhm.
And horror movies end up in musical comedy because that's the only way that they will get nominated or win.
Yeah.
And usually not even win, just get nominated.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll argue all day. We've been on our Nosferatu bullshit today.
It's true.
I
We're
we
coming
literally
hot off of
hot
talking
off
about Nosferatu.
hot off the press. I the intensity of Lily Rose Depp's performance could go up to bat against any other actor in that category this year.
100%.
And like there's great people. Like do I think Pam Anderson should be? Yes, I do. I think Last Showgirl, I think she deserves that. I think there's a lot of good things happening there. But do I think Lily Rose Depp can hold her own in that category? Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
hell yeah.
And like also,
No,
I'm
no
sorry.
directing nom, no design
Yeah,
noms.
I'm sorry. The film itself, you're gonna look me in my two eyes and tell me that Dune 2 belongs in the drama
Oh
category for Best Picture and not Nosferatu?
no,
I'm not here to hate on Dune 2,
no,
but
yeah, no shade,
you're
but
gonna look me in my eyes and tell me that Nosferatu did not deserve a nod? Okay. Okay. Let's pretend that we actually like people who make films or art, shall
I
we?
know. See, this is the thing where I mean, where we started off talking about award shows is I feel like like I like the idea of giving awards to people who do awesome things,
Yeah.
but I very seldom feel like the media award shows that we have any interest in like actual good film.
Yeah. I completely agree. And I'm holding out for a hero that Nosferatu, because it has been that it has been very quiet on the Western Front, that they are gonna get heavily recognized at the Oscars, is what I'm hoping. But I'm not holding my breath either.
Yeah.
Um, because once again, The Exorcist is the only horror film to ever break into the drama category at the Golden Globes. And they did win, period.
Just
Um,
yeah. Did Silence of the Lambs not get any Golden Globes? I'm
I
looking it up
don't, yeah,
now.
look it
I
up
have.
because I might be
I'm just
wrong.
curious now that we're talking about this. I'm like,
Well,
now we're getting
they
into
did,
it.
but it was musical slash comedy. Can you imagine?
That would be hilarious. Okay, it was nominated for drama,
Okay,
and so it was also nominated. So it was nominated Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director,
yeah,
Best Actress, Best Screenplay. Jodie Foster is the only one who won
okay. That's, I
at the
thought
Golden
I
Globes.
knew they had been nominated for some things, but I didn't think they had made best film. But that's, or
They did.
drama.
They did.
But that's
Cool.
good. Yeah,
I was just gonna say that
Exorcist.
is that's like the most dramatic one where I was like, okay, you're really gonna tell me that they're out
Right.
here winning Best Picture and they didn't get a nom here,
Well, you know
but
what else I thought was weird, and maybe there's a thing about lines or structure of the script, but the year that Exorcist won, Linda Blair also won, but she won Best Supporting Actress for Reagan,
what?
and I was like, she's the movie. I mean, yes, like the priest also, but like
No, yeah, that's not a
Reagan's the
supporting
main
role.
character.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe it was because of the split with like the adult who did Pazuzu's voice.
Oh, maybe.
Like maybe they didn't give her like quote full credit for that role, or I don't know. But I was like, there's no supporting. Show me where.
Yeah.
And to me, that felt like, oh, we can't let this child win Best Actress, so we have to put
Yeah.
her in this subcategory to give her a nod. It's just all so stupid. Anyway, the whole point of this episode is that I think I just find this so interesting, um, especially in recent years. We go through waves where horror
Mhm.
will kind of peak back above the waves, and then it'll go back under. Um, and I think we're starting to the Substance getting nominated was 5 nominations was, I mean, it hit me in the face like, whoa, like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Um, because we just haven't seen, I mean, like you pointed out, like Hereditary, things that have been major impacts in the horror world that just have not been recognized for the last 5-7 years.
Okay, I
Um,
gotta say though that the fact that The Substance got a bunch of nominations is quite possibly to do with the fact that Hollywood loves movies about itself.
well, so true. I do.
So I feel like not saying that The Substance does not deserve it, but I'm saying that
Yeah,
potentially part of what kind of tipped it over is that Hollywood loves giving awards to movies that are about the industry.
yeah. I will say though, I remember the first thing I thought, like the first cognizant thought I remember having watching that movie was, my God, if Demi doesn't get an award for this.
Oh yeah, yes,
I
she did a
mean,
great job.
what a freaking performance, man. Holy hell. Um, so uh, yeah, it's interesting to kind of see, but also like Heretic. That wasn't a, I mean, I think part of that is maybe like, let's give Hugh Grant his
Yeah.
dues. He's like 60 or whatever, but like but it was interesting. It's interesting to see some of these things kind of cresting, and I'm really curious to see the Oscar noms. I think it's just so interesting how like horror as a genre continues to explore such intense things. Like people
Mhm.
think it's one thing, but it's exploring politics constantly, and societal fears, and the human condition, and psychology, and just arguably more than any other genre, I think. Like it's
Mhm.
delving into these things that other films just aren't touching on, and it's possibly like one of the most reflective genres of the time it's created in,
Mhm.
because it's so informed by like what the fears are in that moment, what's happening in the world. um and it's still just seen as not having any value, and some of these, like we look at Lily Rose Depp, or people like these actors are being pushed to their limits by these performances in a very real way, and they're seen
Mhm.
as lesser. Um, and so it's just an interesting thing for me to like sit on, because I'm like, part of me wonders if remaining unrecognized is an important part of horror staying true to what it
Yeah.
is. Like, if we start getting critically acclaimed, would we still be able to explore the depths that horror goes to? Would it still be like honest to what's real and what's happening? I don't know. Um, but it's so interesting that we have kind of this thing in the world of Hollywood that doesn't really fit.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious to see what happens moving forward. Let me know, everybody listening, like, let me know your thoughts. Does horror need to stay unrecognized in order to remain like the subversive genre that it is? Let me know what films you saw this past year that you think should have been nominated for awards. I'm always very interested to hear, because Penny and I also like by no means see everything. Like, we don't
Oh,
see
no.
everything that's out there. So sometimes I completely miss performances. I would love to hear, if there's something you saw in the last year that you're like, that should have been on somebody's docket.
Mhm.
um, and I'm very interested to see how tonight plays out. I'm gunning for Demi to get a win.
Yeah,
I would love
I
to see it.
hope so.
I would love to see it. Also, I think it's a shame we're not talking about Margaret Qualley more in all of this,
Yeah.
but also so excited for Demi. Uh, that's really all. This was kind of a weird um, deviation episode from form a little bit, talking about something that's not quite spooky, but
No,
just
I
has a
think it's
really
a yeah, I
interesting
mean,
history.
you gotta explore the genre, and I mean,
Hmm.
to see where spookiness fits into kind of like the master society vibe is always interesting. And
Yeah,
like you said, I feel like we are very much in an era of like prestige horror and like
yeah,
horror movies that are being made with a serious artistic lens. So it will be interesting to see if we continue to see recognition for that
yeah.
from the industry or if we do not.
And then, I mean, it's funny because then, of course, you have people, and I kind of sit on the fence on this. I can go either way, but people who really hate art house horror for that
Oh, yeah.
reason, they're like, that's not what the genre is about. It's like polished punk music. You don't want it. Like, it's not supposed to be that. So uh, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, and I think that's okay.
That's true. It's just one of life's great mysteries.
Great mysteries, but this is also another shameless plug to go watch The Substance if you haven't already. I love that
Yes.
movie so much. Uh, Thank you all so much for listening. If you would like to let us know how you are enjoying, if you'd like to give us an award, you can
Yes.
you can give us 5 stars or whatever you feel like over wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you feel like giving us a speech, you can give us a review. We have some new reviews finally to chat about, I believe.
Mhm.
Penny, do you have one of those pulled up?
I sure do. This is a Apple review from Maggie Shell, titled "I love looking crazy at work."
Same girl.
Says, I listen to these lovely ladies while cleaning cat cages at work. The episodes make me laugh so hard sometimes that my boss will come check on me and jokingly inform me that I'm upsetting the other cat rooms. I feel like I do that anyway, but who knows? Thanks for keeping me chuckling, ladies. The cats will, in fact, have to get over it. Heart and cat emoji.
I love that our last 2 reviews have been animal centric. It's
Yes.
really speaking to my soul.
Cats and dogs love Ghouls Night In.
You heard it
Fact.
here first. So yeah, have your cat leave us a review, and if you'd like to keep up with us on Instagram, you can find us over there at Ghouls Night in Pod. And if you're looking for me, I am all over the web at Midge Munster.
And you can find me at Penny Snark.
And until next time, good.
Good